our city, whether they live here or not. Anybody can access this design guide in English and in Spanish by going to slc.gov/transportation/typologies or slc.gov/transportation/tipologías, and they'll be able to see the entire design guide, all of the individual pieces of the design guide, and a map for where each of these new typology designs have been assigned in the city.
It's time again for the History Minute.
In 1938, legendary producer David O. Selznick produced the first color adaptation of Mark Twain's novel Tom Sawyer. This Technicolor production was lavish and adapted all of the most familiar parts of Twain's book. To help publicize the film, Selznick sent his young star, Tommy Kelly, on a tour of the United States. Kelly spent 4 days in Salt Lake City, making appearances to promote the film and signing autographs to anyone who wanted one. A huge crowd and band met him upon his arrival to Salt Lake City in May 1938. The film had been first released in February, but was shown in May at the Center Theater with Tommy Kelly and Ann Gillis, who played Becky Thatcher, in attendance. The film was a hit in Salt Lake and played all over town for months, eventually opening at the Tower Theater in November of 1938. As popular as it was, though, it's reported to have lost more than $300,000 at the box office. Selznick would be back on top the next year, though, with the release of Gone with the Wind.
That's it for another episode of Capital City News. Remember, the best way to stay engaged is to stay informed. You can do that by following us on social media at SLC.gov, subscribing to us on YouTube, or watching us on Channel 17. So, reporting in from 300 South, I'm Brian Young.
I think I'm one page ahead. Hold, please. No. Okay. Usually we have a little explanation of the different the hats that the city council wears. First, I want to say welcome everyone to our Salt Lake City Council meeting this evening. We do wear different hats as the Salt Lake City Council. We are also the board of the local building authority of Salt Lake City, and this evening we're going to start with we're going to start with the local building authority. I also want to just make sure that everyone realizes that you can take that. I just wasn't reading all the way. If you are joining us on site, the council continues to take precautions to reduce the transmission of COVID-19 and maintain healthy work environments. For now, although masks are no longer required in city facilities, we encourage everyone here to wear masks since COVID cases are rising. There are disposal masks outside our meeting door, or raise your hand and our staff will provide one to you if you need one. If you're here to make a public comment, please feel free to remove your mask when it is your turn to speak so that we can hear you loud and clear. Again, as I was saying, there is a distinction. The Salt Lake City Council wears 3 hats. We are the board of the local building authority, the board of the RDA, the redevelopment agency, and then of course your city council members. As we begin right now, we are going to start as the local building authority. There is no public hearing at this time on the local building authority. We only have a potential action item. So with that, we are on agenda item B1, and I am looking for a resolution for the budget for the Capital Projects Fund of the Local Building Authority for fiscal year 2022-2023. Hold, please. Okay, still looking for that motion.
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve the resolution adopting the final budget of the fiscal year 2022-23 of the Capital Projects Fund of the Local Building Authority.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Dugan, a second by Board Member Pui. I will roll call. Board Member Dugan.
Yes.
Board Member Pui.
Yes.
Board Member Wharton.
Yes.
Board Member Mono. Board Member Valdemoros.
Yes.
Board Member Petro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes, and that is passed unanimously. At this point, this concludes our local building authority meeting. I will now ask for a motion to adjourn as the local building authority and to convene as the redevelopment agency.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Pui, a second by Board Member Mono. Roll calling. Board Member Dugan.
Yes.
Board Member Pui.
Yes.
Board Member Wharton.
Yes.
Board Member Mono.
Yes.
Board Member Valdemoros.
Yes.
Board Member Petro Eschler.
Yes.
I am a yes, and we are adjourned as the...
There's a separate motion to adopt the legislative intents relating to the RDA budget.
We're not on RDA yet.
Oh my gosh.
We're just
You were doing the minutes.
We're getting there right now. You're fine. Fine. We are adjourned as the local board authority, local building authority, and convening as the redevelopment agency. As the redevelopment agency board, we are at RDA potential action item D1 regarding a resolution for the budget for the redevelopment agency of Salt Lake City for fiscal year 2022-2023. Council members, if you'll refer to the large sheet of RDA motion 1, yes.
adopt a resolution approving the fiscal year 2023 RDA budget reflected in the attached key changes spreadsheet with the clarification shown in the motion sheet.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Pui, a second by Board Member, Petro Eschler. I will roll call this. Board Member Dugan.
Yes.
Board Member Pui.
Yes.
Board Member Warden.
Yes.
Board Member Mano.
Yes.
Board Member Valdemoros.
Yes.
Board Member Petro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That passes unanimously. We are now on, I guess, the next motion that isn't in here.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that the board adopt the legislative intent statements as outlined on the motion sheet under motion 2, item A through D.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Board Member Dugan, a second by Board Member Pui. I will roll call. Board Member Dugan.
Yes.
Board Member Pui.
Yes.
Board Member Warden.
Yes.
Board Member Mano.
Yes.
Board Member Valdemoros.
Yes.
Board Member Petro Eschler.
Yes.
I am a yes, and that passes unanimously. This concludes our Redevelopment Agency Board meeting. Now I will ask for a motion to adjourn as the Redevelopment Agency and to convene as the Salt Lake City Council.
So moved. Second.
I didn't hear who made the motion. I have a motion by Board Member Petro Eschler, a second by Board Member Wharton. Roll calling this. Board Member Dugan.
Yes.
Board Member Pui.
Yes.
Board Member Wharton.
Yes.
Board Member Mano.
Yes.
Board Member Valdemoros.
Yes.
Board Member Petro Eschler.
Yes.
That we are now adjourned as the RDA, convened as the Salt Lake City Council.
They want to know what you vote on that.
I'm a yes. About myself. That's why the coffee's coming, I promise. We are now the Salt Lake City Council, and I again would like to welcome everyone to our council meeting. To begin, I would ask that we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Our first item of business is F1, to approve the work session meeting minutes of April 5th, 2022, May 3rd, 2022, May 17th, 2022, as well as the formal meeting minutes of June 2nd, 2022. I will look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I would like I lost it.
And just
To approve the session minutes of April 5th, 2022, May 3rd, 2022, May 17th, 2022, as well as the formal meeting minutes from June 2nd, 2022.
Second.
Was that you, Dugan? Okay. I have a motion by Councilmember Bowie, a second by Councilmember Dugan. Roll calling this. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Petro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes. And that passes unanimously. We are next moving on to item F2, where the council will consider adopting a joint ceremonial resolution with Mayor Mendenhall recognizing June 19th, 2022 as Juneteenth Freedom Day in Salt Lake City. I'm happy to read the resolution. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln first issued the Emancipation Proclamation effective January 1st, 1863, decreeing all people held as slaves be henceforward free. However, a portion of Southern enslavers ignored that order. And whereas Union General Gordon Granger was dispatched to Galveston, Texas to announce the surrender of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, and on June 19, 1865, enforced the President's 1863 order, freeing stolen Africans and some indigenous people still held in human bondage in the state of Texas 2.5 years after it was first decreed. And whereas June 19th has since come to be known as Juneteenth and is one of the oldest celebrations in America, growing out of the experience of now Black Americans and their enslaved African ancestors, and is a celebration of the ending of chattel slavery in America, with the first official Juneteenth celebration taking place in Texas in 1866. And whereas Juneteenth provides an opportunity for the city to celebrate Black American heritage and honor the lives and sacrifices and contributions that are woven into the American fabric. And whereas Juneteenth also acknowledges America's commitment to liberty and equality in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, along with the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished slavery, ratified by Congress on December 6, 1865. And whereas, through other systems of oppression, such as sharecropping, Jim Crow, redlining, and prison industrial complex, Black maternal health disparities, the plunder of Black bodies and Black wealth continued past slavery and persists to this day, disproportionately affecting the physical and mental well-being, safety, and education of Black Americans. And whereas the candid acknowledgement of this history is necessary if we as a nation, state, or city are successful in our effort to build a truly equitable community that exemplifies and promotes the fundamental American values of freedom and diversity, equality, liberty, and justice. And whereas both the federal government and the state of Utah now recognize Juneteenth on the third Saturday in June as an official holiday, now therefore be it resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City recognize June 19th, 2022 as Juneteenth Freedom Day in Salt Lake City in celebration of the culturally important role of emancipation and the work toward that liberation in our past, present, and future. Be it further resolved that Salt Lake City emphasizes the freedom and dignity of every human being and opposes and rejects any form of oppression. I will look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that the council adopt a joint resolution with Mayor Mendenhall recognizing June 19th, 2022 as Juneteenth Freedom Day in Salt Lake City.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Dugan and a second by Councilmember Pui. Is there any discussion on this? I just want to say I'm very proud to read that and for this resolution. So I will roll call this. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pui.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mono.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Petro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That passes unanimously. I don't know. We had Representative Sandra Hollins, Betty Sawyer, and Cleopatra Balfour joining us to accept this resolution. I'm not sure if they are online. I don't see them in our audience. I'm going to double check. Taylor, do we have anyone in attendance for this?
I am not seeing anyone.
Okay, well, we will ensure that they get a copy of the resolution, and truly want to thank all three of them for representing the community, for helping us with this resolution, and for really being pioneers in the strive for justice and equality here in Utah, and particularly for some in Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County. So thank you for your work. Our next item is F3, where the council will consider adopting a joint ceremonial, I told you the coffee's here now, resolution with Mayor Mendenhall establishing a new ballpark legacy lease with the Salt Lake Bees professional baseball franchise. Luckily, I am going to turn the time over to Councilmember Darren Mano to read that resolution. Councilmember Mano?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm excited to read the resolution. This is a joint resolution establishing a new ballpark legacy lease with the Salt Lake Bees professional baseball franchise. Whereas Salt Lake City municipal government is committed to promoting the general welfare of its residents and visitors by providing wholesome recreational and entertainment opportunities, and whereas Salt Lake City has a rich history where enthusiasts have gathered on the current site for over 100 years to participate in our national pastime while supporting home teams known as the Giants, Angels, Gulls, Trappers, Buzz, Stingers, and Bees. And whereas Salt Lake City municipal government owns the baseball facility known as Smith's Ballpark on real property also owned by the city that has been nationally recognized as the best view in baseball. And whereas Salt Lake City is one of only 30 AAA baseball communities in the nation, and professional baseball is a distinguishing component of the city's character, and whereas Smith's Ballpark is a unique neighborhood anchor, in addition to being a regional destination that provides economic benefits to the community and its residents, improves and promotes tourism, and enhances the tax base of Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, and the state of Utah. And whereas the ballpark community serves as a microcosm of Salt Lake City, where this great open space is integrated into the urban environment that includes single-family homes, apartments, transit, restaurant, and businesses. And whereas the candid acknowledgement of this history is necessary if we, as a nation, state, or city, are successful in our effort to build a truly equitable community that exemplifies and promotes the fundamental American values of freedom, diversity, equality, liberty, and justice. And whereas the Salt Lake Bees have provided responsible management at the facilities at Smith's Ballpark and have actively demonstrated their core values of integrity, hard work, stewardship, and service with world-class leadership throughout the lease partnership. And whereas the historic ballpark neighborhood is on the cusp of significant new investment and transformation for the ongoing benefit of residents, visitors, and a continuing baseball legacy, and whereas the current contractual lease agreement is set to expire on September 30th, 2024, and whereas a new contractual lease agreement would provide a vital foundational framework that aspires to weave together the long-term needs of the team, the fans, and the community. And whereas, in order to provide clarity to all parties and to ensure proactive and effective facility management, renovation opportunities, and continuous baseball operations, the City Council seeks to provide support and general direction to the City Administration. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City hereby authorize City Administration to enter into a good faith and mutually beneficial negotiations with the Salt Lake Bees on a legacy lease agreement. Be it further resolved that the City Administration consult all relevant and recently completed planning documents, facility condition assessments, and professional standards as outlined by Major League Baseball in the creation of a sustainable and synergistic lease agreement with a corresponding renovation plan.
Thank you, Councilmember Mano. I will look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that this council approve the joint resolution establishing a new ballpark legacy lease with the Salt Lake Bees professional baseball franchise.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Pui, a second from Councilmember Dugan. Is there any discussion on this? I'll roll call. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pui.
Yes.
Councilmember Borton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Petro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That passes unanimously. And we are running a little ahead of schedule. If anyone that was here to accept these resolutions pops on or shows up, please let us know. We do want to take time to recognize you in person or online. So just let us know if you're here. With that, item F4 is the council will consider adopting a joint ceremonial resolution declaring Salt Lake City's commitment to promoting equitable and inclusive language access. I will now turn the time over to Councilmember Wharton to read the resolution. Councilmember Warden.
Thank you. This is a joint ceremonial resolution declaring Salt Lake City's commitment to promoting equitable and inclusive language access to Salt Lake City Corporation services and information. Whereas Salt Lake City is a vibrant, diverse, and welcoming city that strives to ensure that all residents, regardless of background, can be fully integrated, active, and empowered members of the social, civic, and economic fabric of the community. And whereas the primary focus of Salt Lake City Corporation, the city, is to provide support and safety to all Salt Lake City residents. And whereas in ensuring support and safety, the city is committed to promoting equitable and inclusive access to city services and information, as well as meaningful community engagement for all residents. And whereas equity and inclusion are essential to building relationships and improving outcomes in Salt Lake City communities, especially for underrepresented and underserved communities, including but not limited to immigrants, refugees, and communities of color who are among Salt Lake City's most vulnerable residents. And whereas Title VI of the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964 states that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance, and requires federal grant recipients to provide language access. And whereas in the 1974 case of Liu versus Nichols, the United States Supreme Court stated that one type of national origin discrimination is discrimination based on a person's inability to speak, read, write, or understand English. And whereas in August of 2000, President Bill Clinton issued Executive Order 13166, improving access to services for persons with limited English proficiency, which directed any recipients of federal financial assistance to publish guidelines on how to provide access to limited English proficiency persons, improve language accessibility of each federally assisted program, and implement consistent standards of language assistance across such programs. And whereas in May of 2021, the Salt Lake City Office of the Mayor established the Office of Equity and Conclusion, or OEI, to promote equity and inclusion in the city's service delivery, decision-making, and community engagement practices by identifying and eliminating the underlying barriers that perpetuate inequalities and providing opportunity and advancement for all. And whereas the OEI has identified language differences to be one such underlying barrier to equity and inclusion, and whereas in November of 2021, the OEI created the Language Access Task Force to review city services and consider research for establishing effective guidelines consistent with Title VI of the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Executive Order 13166 for city employees to follow when providing services or interacting with individuals who have limited English proficiency. And whereas, according to the American Community Survey conducted in 2019 by the U.S. Census Bureau, 4.9% of all households in Salt Lake City report limited English proficiency. And whereas, according to the Salt Lake City School District, which has the most comprehensive set of language data for Salt Lake City, Spanish is the most common non-English native language by a substantial margin. Karen and Somali are the second and third, and Swahili and Burmese are the fourth and fifth. And whereas, according to the Salt Lake City School District data, additional languages spoken by Salt Lake City community members include, but are not limited to, Tongan, Arabic, Vietnamese, French, Korean, and Chinese. And whereas the Language Access Task Force has concluded that all public-facing city documents should develop language access plans that set forth procedures for providing meaningful language access through in-language services, translation of written materials, and in-person interpretation or telephonic interpretation. And whereas the Language Access Task Force created a series of goals and guidelines to assist city departments in developing language access plans. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City support 1. City resources and staff being used to develop language access policy to govern city operations in the furtherance of promoting equitable and inclusive language access to city services and information. 2, the mayor's office coordinating the creation and implementation of language access plans throughout city departments to identify and close gaps in access. 3, considering adequate funding for resources needed to promote language access. 4, continued monitoring of the best available data, including the American Community Survey from the U.S. Census Bureau, to better understand the language access needs across Salt Lake City.
Thank you, Councilmember Wharton. I will look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that the council adopt a joint resolution declaring Salt Lake City's commitment to promoting equitable and inclusive language access.
Second.
I have a motion. Oh, any discussion on this? Okay. I just I'm just going to take a moment and want to say thank you to Madam Mayor for establishing this office and for putting true importance on equity and inclusion in all of its realms. So thank you for that. With that, I have. We all saw that.
You just communicated.
With that, I have a motion by Councilmember Dugan, a second by Councilmember Pui. Roll calling. Oh, Councilmember Mono seconded it. Thank you. I'm just so used to that side right now. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pui.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mono.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Petro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That passes unanimously. At this time, I'm going to take a little break in the agenda because Amanda Covington from the Larry H. Miller Group is here, and we would like to take a moment. Amanda, if you'd like to come up, I don't want to put you on the spot, but we did read the resolution. We look forward to the legacy lease, and we'll come up and present you with the resolution. And if you'd like to say any words, then we'd love to hear from you, and we'll take a moment to get a couple pictures.
Well, thank you, and I apologize for being tardy and not hearing it being read in, but I have seen a copy and appreciate the work of Councilman Mano and also Mayor Mendenhall and her entire team. We've had an incredible year discussing, knowing that the lease is set to expire in 2024 and exploring options that work really well, not only for the city, but also for the Salt Lake Bees and our guests and our fans, and also the community in the ballpark area. And so we appreciate the mayor's commitment to enhancing this community and creating a thriving area, including the support of Councilman Mano. It's been really fun to talk issues and learn more about what you're focused on and what the city is engaging in. We know there is opportunity there with the station area plan. And some of the investment that will take place there around transit, around safety and housing, and community programs. We also love our partnership with Salt Lake City, and we know that there's a lot of work to do, but we're committed to diving in together and looking at that. I know that this negotiation will take a couple of months, but our commitment to one another is that we'll work very hard over the summer and early fall so that we can come to some sort of resolution that's beneficial for everybody that I mentioned.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's play ball.
Go Bees.
That's right. So if we can just take a moment and get a couple pictures, if that's okay.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wherever.
Let's go up here. More room. Chugi here?
Apparently I am.
Oh. Oh no. What did you do? Did you say it?
He was bragging about real parchment.
I was talking about how our resolutions are signed on real
On the RDA one?
Apparently that's tricky. I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't know. I'm trying to be relevant.
I'm not sure.
I sent you a PDF.
I can't take it out.
You could do a second motion. Okay, an amendment. Anyway, that's fine.
Sorry, everyone. Thank you. And I believe that brings us to our public hearings. Yes, it does. Okay. Taylor Hill on our staff.
No,
She's not
I can smell this thing.
Don't worry, I had it covered. I appreciate a backseat second vice chair. Just kidding. We are going to begin public hearings at this time. Taylor Hill on our staff will be calling the names of those who wish to comment. We will call names of people joining on WebEx and in person, based on the order of registration or received comment cards. Once we open public comment, Taylor will announce 3 names at a time so that people have some notice and are prepared to speak. When it is your turn, Taylor will announce your name. For WebEx people, she will unmute. For people in person, please step up to the podium to make your comment into the microphone. Once you begin and state your name, and the 2-minute timer will start. At the 2-minute mark, staff will announce time. If you are on WebEx, Taylor will mute the microphone. If you are here, I will tell you that it's time and ask you to stop talking. If you do not wish to speak, please either message our staff, or when staff states your name, please just let us know that you're here to listen. At this point, also, I'm just going to make the reminder, this is a public hearing on items G1 through G4. Please remain respectful, all of the things that we do in good public meetings for comments. With that, and before we start taking comments, I will turn the time over to Sylvia on the big screen, who will provide an introduction. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The city applies for and receives grants which help to support and fund some city programs. Each grant application is reviewed and then receives a public hearing, which gives the public an opportunity to comment on them. Tonight, there are 4 grants. First is the 2022 Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, or RAISE grant, which would be used to fund consultant services for the planning and environmental review process and solutions for 8 east-west crossings of the I-15 and Union Pacific Railroad freight line corridors, which include 600 North, 200 South, 400 South, 800 South, 900 South, 9-Line Trail, 13th South, 17th South, and 21st South. Second is the 2022 Teen After School Prevention Grant, which would be used to fund the salaries and benefits for 2 new community program manager positions to maintain and improve program quality, recruitment, and retention at 4 youth city sites. Grant monies will also fund wages for 8 existing teen specialists, 2 at each site. Third is the 2022 State Homeland Security Program Grant, which would be used to fund the purchase of first responder pods to store additional food and shelter supplies for emergency situations, the purchase of evacuation modeling software for planning and mitigation of emergency events that might require mass evacuations, and the purchase of tools allowing the city to continue working towards compliance with national communication standards. Fourth is the 2022 Emergency Management Performance Grant, or the EMPG, which would be used to support emergency management functions and programs. Again, these are items the city has applied for to fund city programs and projects. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Sylvia. And Taylor, we'll start with our first comments, please.
Thank you, Council Chair. There is no one here to speak to these items.
Great. I will look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and refer items G1 through G4 to a future consent agenda for action.
Second.
I have a motion by, I'm multitasking. I have a motion by Councilmember Bowie, a second by Councilmember Wharton. I will roll call this. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Pictro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That passes unanimously. We are moving on to our potential action items. This is ordinances H1 through H10, and they are associated with the implementation of the mayor's recommended budget for Salt Lake City, including the library fund for the fiscal year FY 2022-2023. The council has truly appreciated the public's interest, feedback, and involvement in this fiscal year's budget discussions. Input from the public always is invaluable to help the council to decide how to balance this fiscal year's budget. And we've spent a lot of weeks talking about the budget and debating back and forth, and a lot of that comes from the feedback that we hear from our constituents. So thank you. Council members, please refer to your motion sheet prepared by council staff as you make your motions. We shall begin. I will look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that the council adopt an ordinance approving Salt Lake City's fiscal year 2022 through 2023 budget as outlined in the attached key changes spreadsheet and staffing document, excluding the schedule for capital projects and debt and the library fund.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Mano, a second by Councilmember Wharton. I will roll call this. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Pictro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That passes unanimously.
Madam Chair, I move that the council adopt an ordinance approving the budget for the library fund of Salt Lake City for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Puya, a second by Councilmember Wharton. Roll calling. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Puya.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Pictro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That passes unanimously.
Madam Chair, I move that the council adopt an ordinance setting the final rate of tax levy, including the final levy for the library fund upon all real and personal properties within Salt Lake City, made taxable by law for fiscal year 2022 to 2023, as listed on the motion sheet, and authorize the council chair to sign the necessary documents for the State Tax Commission. A tax of 0.003776 on each dollar of taxable valuation, of which 0.002584 shall be credited as revenue in the general fund, generating $97,582,022 of ongoing revenue, and B, 0.00014 shall be credited to the judgment levy for the general fund, a one-year adjustment generating $526,937 of one-time revenue, and C, 0.00046 shall be credited toward repayment of general obligation bonds, generating $17,368,652 of ongoing revenue, and D, 0.000615 shall be credited as revenue in the special library fund, generating $24,240,526 of ongoing revenue, and E. 0.000003 shall be credited to the judgment levy for the library fund, a 1-year adjustment generating $100,288 of one-time revenue, and F.0001 shall be credited as revenue in the special government immunity funds for tort liability, generating $3,775,947 of ongoing revenue.
Second.
I'm sorry, I think you have to read that again, Dan. I'm just kidding. I have a motion by Councilmember Dugan, a second by Councilmember Pui. Roll calling. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pui.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Madam Chair, may I say a few words before I take a vote?
Yes, I should have asked for discussion. I apologize. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I would like to take that moment of privilege to tell my constituency and Salt Lake City residents I've considered your comments and concerns about this budget this year. I am reluctantly in favor, because as I said, have said before in work sessions and community council meetings, I've had doubts about the proposed budget that calls for a tax increase when we, seemingly we have increases in tax revenue and federal ARPA funding for one-time projects. But I also understand that we are a growing city with additional needs for service that we cannot completely cover even with those revenues. That's why I feel that as the stewards of the budget, we can do both, though. We can look at additional revenue streams, look again before creating new services and programs, while also conducting audits of cost-benefit analysis of efficiency and outcome of existing policies and services. And that was in quotes because that's what a constituent wrote to me, and I agree greatly with that. So today, I appreciate that most of my peers at the City Council supported my legislative intent listed in a motion sheet that will come later, that will reestablish its practice for a rotating auditing of each city department, division, and functions annually to inform evaluations of how city services are meeting residents' needs while being fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' dollars. So with that said, I vote yes. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Valdemoros. Councilmember Petro Eschler.
Yes.
I am a yes. That passes unanimously.
All right.
Moving on.
All right.
Madam Chair.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair, I have it written, it's mine. I move that the council.
Oh, 5 was yours.
Yeah. I move that the council adopt the legislative intent statements as outlined.
It's okay. Just keep going. I'll come back to you.
Yeah?
Continue.
Okay. I move that the council, Madam Chair, I move that the council adopt the legislative intent statements as outlined on the motion sheet under motion 5, items A through S. And I would like to read S, which is the one that I was really appreciative of the council, which is rotating outside auditing of each city department. It is the intent of the city council to reestablish its practice of conducting management and performance audits of city departments, divisions, and functions on a rotating basis in the coming years. These audits are in addition to the financial audit that the city council oversees annually. The audits are intended to bring consultants in for an independent look at existing city services to identify opportunities for improved efficiencies. In addition to a focus on identifying potential efficiencies, the council intends to ask the auditors to identify or evaluate professional best practices, definitions of success for each program, metrics associated with key functions, and any duplication that exists with other city departments and or other levels of government. The council intends for the audits to inform evaluations of how city services are meeting residents' needs while being fiscally responsible with the taxpayer dollars.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Valdemoros and a second by Councilmember Petro Eschler. Roll calling this. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pui.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Petro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That passes. If we could please go back to motion 4. Alejandro, I think. Yes.
Madam Chair, I move that the council adopt $45,703,000 $14,683 to be transferred into CIP, including approving $14,043,194 in funding as shown in the motion sheet, with the understanding that the placeholder for the first year payment on the new sales tax revenue bond is not approved. Later this year, the council will consider CIP projects, the proposed GEO bond, and the proposed sales tax revenue bond.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Bowie, a second by Councilmember Eschler. Roll calling, Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie.
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Councilmember Fiscal.
Yes.
And I am yes. That passes unanimously. I believe.
One more.
6.
One more. One more.
I know.
Don't want to miss anything.
I'm very, very
We're all.
excited council members. Motion 6.
All right. I move that the council adopt ordinances A through G as shown on the motion sheet relating to the fiscal year 2022-23 budget.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Petro Eschler, a second by Councilmember Dugan. Roll calling. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Back at it.
Councilmember Petro
Yes.
Eschler. And I am a yes, and that passes unanimously. Congratulations, everyone. Does deserve a hand clap.
Air fives. Air fives to the staff. Air fives.
We'll get there.
We're so cheeky.
Okay. Clearly, we're at the end of the budget season. Everyone's excited. So we are now we are on comments. Are there any questions or comments for Madam Mayor, who is here with us today?
No, just to say thank you, Madam Mayor, for giving us the opportunity to go through your proposed budget, to discuss, to disagree, agree. And that's the beauty of government, where we can have those disagreements and talk through them and get to a conclusion that we can move forward and provide the services that our city needs. So thank you for being here and helping us, and your staff that responds so many times for our multiple questions. Thank you.
Madam
Councilmember
Chair,
Mano?
I want to echo the gratitude for the mayor. This was a long and an important budget and a lot of new things that we discussed. Thank you for your vision for our city and for proposing this budget and allowing us to deliberate that and cooperating when we had, like Councilmember Valdemoros said, thousands of questions for you and your staff. So appreciate that. Thanks.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yeah, I would like to, in addition to thanking the administration, I would like to thank the council staff for the incredible amount of work and hell I put them through personally. But this is my first budget, and I learned so much about their commitment to what we are wanting, and trying to translate the crazy words that come out of my mouth and trying to find what I'm trying to make sense out of that and find answers from the administration. So I'm very proud of this budget, and I'm very proud of the work that this council staff did. So thank you.
Council members, anyone else? I will just say ditto to everything. With that, we are now on the comment portion of our agenda for comments about general topics and items that were not scheduled for a hearing tonight. I have not gone over the City Council's rules of decorum, so I will go through it now. We are accepting your comments in person and through WebEx. We know how it's being moderated. Taylor Hill will be calling out names. If you're on WebEx, we'll unmute you. If you're here, please head up to the podium. Obviously, at the 2-minute mark, we will have you either be muted or we'll ask you to stop your comment. If you still have more to comment, please send us an email. You can text us, you can write it down and give it to one of our staff members, you can give us a call. The important part with our general comments is that we do ask you to be respectful. This is a place where we want everyone to feel comfortable and safe in giving their comments to the council. And I don't think that it is appropriate to try to intimidate another commenter or the mayor or the council. If something gets to a level of disrespect, I will ask you to stop speaking and or we will mute you if you are online. Again, this is a place that I think we all try to pride ourselves on taking comments seriously, and we want to be in a respectful space where we can hear those comments. So with that, I will turn the time over to Taylor.
Thank you, Council Chair. It looks like there are 2 people here to speak to general comment. The first will be Jay Ingleby, followed by Cindy Cromer. Jay is in person to speak.
Thank you. Appreciate that much time. I'm kind of reporting from the area that I live in, and back in 90s, 95, 6, 7, somewhere in there, we had a train track running through our neighborhood. Now they want to run another length of rail track, which is just about going to be in the same place. I don't know. We fought it last time because we had a derailment at 5th West of that train. 5 cars tipped over, which we told them from the council that it would happen. I had a gentleman who worked on the train at that time, trains, and he said, I can't tell you when, but I can tell you it will happen. Now we're looking at we had a survey of EPA at that time also, and they said that we ranked 95th, which was 3rd on the list for asthma. This rail track was going right by an elementary school. It was also going by residences. What we're asking, I guess what I'm asking is take a look before we allow diesel trucks and profusion of air irritants in it. We can't have it again. We fought it once. And I don't know, maybe some of you were around at that time. I know I was.
Time.
And now I'm not. So I just want to say, when you do these things, contact the communities. They want to know.
Okay.
It's been, what, almost 2 years now,
Yep.
where we're not getting any information.
And
I'm not blaming. I'm not blaming.
That's okay. That is your 2-minute time, sir. I'm sorry, but we're happy to get your contact information, and I'm 100% certain that your council member will reach out and talk to you.
Well, this can cause a lot of damage.
Sir, but that is your time.
All
We try to
the
be
way down
respectful
the
of the
length
time.
of the number 9 corridor.
But thank you. That is your time.
I'm
sorry.
Wherever we are on here, it's
Okay.
not sitting
Jen,
well.
do you wanna-
But I thank you for your time. Yes.
So your 2 minutes is up. So your 2 minutes is up.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Mr. Ingleby. And I believe we have Ms. Cromer up next.
That is correct. Next is Cindy Cromer in person.
Hi. Let's try this without this. My name is Cindy Cromer. In graduate school, my favorite course was entitled Unobtrusive Measures. It dealt with trace evidence of how people were behaving or had behaved in the past. That part was fascinating. The course made me aware of how data are all around me. The mind-sticking stories about housing and our lack of it are coming at me more frequently. There were 3 in 8 days between June 5th and June 12th. Mind-sticking in that I can't forget about them and move on. Unobtrusive in that no one was counting them except me. Here's one from Sunday morning. It was already hot as I pruned a shrub in front of one of my buildings. 2 people walked past, one ahead of the other, probably headed for Liberty Park. Both appeared to be without predictable, permanent shelter from the heat. The woman paused and said to me, "When I get a place of my own, would you teach me about plants?" Of course, I said yes. We could imagine our common ground in plants. I could imagine sharing information, and she could imagine something that was hers to care for. Then she needed to ask the question, do you have any apartments for rent? Reality intruded on our imagining. I didn't. I also didn't know any other landlords who did, having just checked for someone else. And I couldn't think of anyone who could help. I felt so inadequate. Perfectly adequate to prune the shrub like an expert, and inadequate to respond to this person's request. I am encountering these mind-sticking stories more often. 3 in 8 days is a sign of where we are with respect to housing. The frequency is the unobtrusive measure. Paradoxically, the unobtrusive measure is becoming more obtrusive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cindy. Taylor, do we have anyone else?
No, that was our final commenter this evening.
Great, thank you. And is there anyone in the audience that didn't fill out a card that would like to make a comment? Nope, okay. Then we will be moving on. Thank you for everyone who made a comment. We have no new business or unfinished business items today, so we are on the last section of our council meeting, our consent agenda. I will look for a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Wharton and a second by Councilmember Dugan. Roll calling. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pui.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton. Yes. Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Petro Eschler.
Yes.
And I am a yes, and that is unanimous, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.